Hello to you, it's Bob Crampton here for the next couple of hours. A little bit of a special programme today. We're looking at a very important issue, that's men's health. And I have guests coming in. Also, we'll be speaking to a doctor, GP, and someone who deals with mental health. It's all to do with men's health. Why are they so reluctant to come forward? It's all coming up.
And now, when all is done, there is nothing to say. You have gone and so effortlessly. You have won, you can go ahead, tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftops, write it on the skyline. All we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. All my scars are open. Tell them what I hoped would be impossible. Falling out of love is hard. Falling for betrayal is worse. Broken trust and broken hearts. I know, and thinking all you need is there. Building faith on nothing words. Empty promises will wear. I know, and now when all is done, there is nothing to say. And if you're done with embarrassing me on your own, you can go ahead, tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftops, write it on the skyline. All we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. All my scars are open. Tell them what I hoped would be impossible. I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did. Tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftops, write it on the skyline. All we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. Would be impossible.
This is Radio Bath.
Yeah, Mr. John Bon Jovi there, Living on a Prayer. Let me just tell you the shape of the programme today. It's slightly different, as I say. Maybe we won't have so much music, but I'll try and play some good tracks for you anyway. Now, we're going to look at men's health, or rather, the reluctance of men to seek medical help, which can lead to a very late diagnosis of a serious condition. We'll have two men from Bath coming into the studio. They've both been affected, their lives have been affected by cancer. Also, a GP talks to us about the need for men to come forward early so the GP can take action. And the boss of a mental health charity highlights the effect of delaying the sharing of problems.
Saw you today after so much time. It felt just like it used to be. Talking for hours about a different life. Surrounded us in memory. We were close, never close enough. Where are we now? As if it's torn, we can stitch it up. Don't rule it out. Oh no, no. I'll come around if you ever wanna be in love. I'm not waiting, but I'm willing if you call me up. If you ever wanna be in love, I'll come around. Wanted to ask if we could have been. My tongue wouldn't break the seal. You always had something effortless. In school you were the biggest deal. Little curtains close and open up. Time is slipping by. I'm always thinking about the two of us. You played on my mind. Always playing on my mind. I'll come around if you ever wanna be in love. I'm not waiting, but I'm willing if you call me up. If you ever wanna be in love, I'll come around. We were young, we were side by side. Don't know when we started losing touch. If you want, we can walk it around. Maybe that would be enough. Used to talk, drinking to the night. I would wake up on the front room floor. And all alone, you'd be in my bed. Made me crazy, made me want you more. I'll come around if you ever wanna be in love. I'm not waiting, but I'm willing if you call me up. I'll come around if you ever wanna be in love. If you ever wanna be in love, I'll come around.
Made locally in Bath. This is Radio Bath.
The higher the mountain, the harder the fall. Looking for blood at the scene of the crime. It's been running in circles or nothing at all for a long, long, long time. Boxing at shadows and listening at doors. Pushing the buttons and pulling the blinds. We haven't been honest or clever or sure.
Tearful for Fears, of course, obviously long time. We're having a few problems with traffic at the moment. As you know, the centre of Bath is pretty well jammed up because of roadworks going on and some building works and road closures. So I'm still waiting for my two guests to come along. But we also, after these messages come up, we'll also be talking to a GP, to a doctor, who is going to talk to us about the reluctance, the sheer sort of non-understanding of some men by not coming in to get their problems sorted out. And because for several reasons, and we'll be finding out what he thinks those reasons are.
Listen up, Radio Bath family. This is the Bath Laugh Marathon Dave Parker, tugging your coat about a special extra mile on Thursday night, which includes a whole hour with star contributor to Channel 4's The Last Leg, comedian Rosie Jones. Can I call you Rosie, or should it be Dr. Jones after your recent honorary doctorate?
I am so proud to be Dr. Jones. But I need to say now that I am not allowed to perform any operations anymore.
Okay. Maybe there's some legal issues there we can't mention, but that's fine. We can
Yeah.
There's plenty more where that came from, so listen in from 9 p.m. on Thursday night to the Bath Laugh Marathon Extra Mile, right here on Radio Bath.
For an intimate dining experience with a difference, try the fabulously flamboyant dining domes at Homewood on the outskirts of Bath in Freshford. Perfect for up to 8 guests, ready to celebrate any occasion. Or just a fancy dinner in your very own glistening globe. You'll love the mood lighting, cosy throws and 3 courses of pure feasting elegance. With champagne on arrival and lanterns dripped from the ceiling to cast a soft glow across the table. And fluffy throws draped on the chairs to create your own cozy oasis. Oh, and don't forget to grab those Instagrammable shots too. Open every day for lunch, afternoon tea or dinner. For reservations, call 01225 580 439. Or find out more at homewoodbath.co.uk.
Haven Timber, your first choice for fencing, timber and garden buildings. Because we buy timber in huge volumes, we can offer the best products at the best price without compromising on quality or sustainability. And we're exclusive retailers of the Shed Bed Foundation System, the only complete self-levelling shed and deck base on the market. Plus right now, get premium turf for only £4 per square metre roll. Great deals on pressure-treated sleepers and a 25 kilogram bag of post mix for just £4. All prices include VAT. Pop in and see us on Farley Road, Norton St Philip, just off the A36. Or find out more at haventimber.co.uk.
By the Furnace is the brand new cafe at Bath Aqua Glass's Walcott Street studio. Stop by to enjoy coffee, cake or a glass of wine while you watch the glass blowers at work. Private hire of the new cafe and bar also available. It's a brilliant spot for private functions or glass-blowing office parties that your guests certainly won't forget. For a full range of what we make and for details on our glass-blowing courses, go to bathaquaglass.com or call Bath 428 146. Bath Aqua Glass. Made with love, given with love, sent with love. A warm welcome awaits you at the newly refurbished Old Crown at the heart of Weston Village in Bath. Now serving authentic, delicious, rustic, traditional stone-baked pizzas, bruschettas, bagels, sharing platters and much more. Plus craft keg and cask beers, heaps of gins and a top quality wine range. Come and join us for an alfresco lunch, cosy dinners or Sunday roast. Spacious garden with outside heating, perfect for every occasion. The Old Crown Weston. Find out more at theoldcrownweston.pub or book on 01225 481 858.
This is Radio Bath.
My name's Bob Crampton. I'm in this afternoon for, well, I suppose for me is a really important programme. Actually, we're looking at men's health, and in particular, the reason why men don't come forward to go and see the doctors. You have to force some men to go in and get an appointment. We can speak to a doctor straight away. That's Dr. Duncan Still, and he's a GP, and he's also in charge of a sort of a new form of medicine, and hopefully that would encourage men as well. Dr. Still, thank you for joining us. What about this thing that men... Have you ever studied why men don't come forward, why they're so slow in coming forward?
Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me. I agree with you. It's such an important topic, and it's a real issue, the fact that men don't present. And if they do end up going to the doctor, they end up quite often presenting quite late in disease, which makes it much harder for us to do the good that we would like to. It's a complex question. Why do they not come sooner? I think it probably has cultural and historical reasons. There's this expectation that men are brave and put on the stiff upper lip, and boys don't cry. So I think that goes quite deep. But I think the good news is that model is changing. Care within the family, for example, often used to be seen as perhaps the woman's preserve or the wife's preserve. But, that is an outdated model. Men are good at caring and men need care themselves. And I think that's beginning to take hold. Our roles are now much more even and responsibilities shared for that. So I think men are beginning to realise that taking care of themselves is also important.
What about outside influences? I'm thinking particularly of the present crisis, the energy crisis. We're working so much harder. So are people now perhaps a little bit too busy to go in for a checkup?
Yeah, I mean that's certainly true. We are all stretched in our various ways, and sometimes we might choose not to prioritise our health. But I suppose I'm bound to say this because I'm a doctor, but I think everyone, if they take a step back, can see that that's a false economy. If you're too busy to look after your health, I think there's the age-old adage of if you don't make time for your health, you may end up having to make time to be ill. If you're not doing that preventative stuff, then actually it can have much more serious consequences down the line. So I totally understand people, are feeling stretched, are feeling pressured. But I would just make that bid that people do take a step back, notice if there is something that's not quite right, and if it's serious, then seek help.
I mean, getting an appointment up to now has been quite difficult, hasn't it? Particularly, obviously, during COVID. But getting an appointment to see your doctor can take a long time. I see that the government want to try and move so that we have 2 weeks as the amount that you have to wait.
Yeah.
Is that going to work? Is that good?
I mean, I don't want to sound too downbeat, but things are extremely pressured within the NHS at the moment, as I'm sure everyone knows. If you do try and get an appointment, it is a real battle, and I feel really sorry for patients. It is not okay that that's the situation, but it's certainly not to do with a kind of a lack of goodwill and a lack of effort on behalf of the GPs and the reception staff and the nurses. I would make a very strong bid for the fact that the health service has been woefully underfunded for many, many years. And I think the current plan, as laid out but not fully explained by the new health secretary, is really not putting the emphasis where it needs to go. I think they need to really prioritise retention of staff, training of staff. Every area of healthcare is underrepresented. We are finding it very difficult to recruit in all areas, and that can be addressed by the government. The government is the only place where these decisions are taken. They need to fund it much, much more seriously, because things are only going to get worse if they don't.
Okay, Duncan Still, can I take you back now to the reluctance of men to come forward? How do you think the medical profession can change this?
It's a good question. I suppose I slightly challenge the premise of the question. I don't think it's up to the medical profession to change that. And again, I would put the emphasis on changing attitudes, perhaps being more the remit of the government. We need to get health education. Public health is in the remit of the government. They can make that a priority, get the idea of prevention being a much more important thing. This idea of leaving health problems to develop, these chronic lifestyle-related health problems, which is the majority of what we see as doctors, they could be addressed by people dealing with it upstream. The analogy is, if you've got a problem with a wet floor and then the sink kind of running over and spilling and messing up the place, if you're dealing with that by just mopping up the floor, which is the end result of people not looking after their health, that's the diseases that we see, that's not the best way of approaching it. Why not approach things further upstream by turning off the tap? you deal with things much earlier on, you actually save time, money, effort, and of course illness. So I would say it is more up to the government. I think education, at school age, people should be learning about their bodies, about well-being, learning how to take responsibility for that. I suppose that I would put the emphasis more there.
Sure. Okay, let's briefly turn to a specialist field of yours, integrative medicine. It's a bit of a mouthful, but can you tell us what it? Yes, it is. Can you tell us what it means and how perhaps that can be used to encourage men?
So integrative medicine, I suppose it's a response to it's an acknowledgement of the conventional medicine. So orthodox Western medicine, as we see it practiced here, doesn't have all the answers. And people increasingly are beginning to realize that. Patients definitely, but also people within the health. So integrative medicine is the idea of trying to bring together in an intelligent and critical way the best of conventional medicine, what it has to offer, but then combining things like lifestyle approaches, nutrition, physical activity, but then also other philosophies of health, complementary approaches like acupuncture, meditation, nature connection, herbal remedies. That there is plenty of evidence to back up a lot of these approaches. If we just use that evidence in a nuanced, intelligent way, I think we could do better for our patients and better for ourselves as a health service as well.
Dr. Still, carry on.
Well, whether it addresses particularly men's health, I don't know, but I suppose a big part of what integrative medicine tries to do is to provide a truly holistic consultation, which I think all healthcare providers seek to do, but integrative medicine makes a special emphasis on it, and that includes meeting the patient where they are. So really approaching someone who perhaps hasn't taken care of their health in certain ways, in a totally non-judgmental way. That's really important, and using language in a way that might be more helpful for men. You might want to focus on things like being proactive and facing things and taking control. These are all traditionally masculine ways that a man might respond to, and of course not unique to men. Women respond to
of course not
as well. But there are certain ways you might talk to perhaps harness a man's attention.
You've worked for a number of years with Penny Bron. That's a very well-known charity, cancer charity. Has that organisation found men don't come forward early enough to catch a cancer?
I think, that is true throughout all healthcare, but certainly within cancer, that's true. People wait longer, they present later, and that's reflected in who we see coming to the Penny Bron Centre. I think probably only a quarter of our patients are men, but that's not reflected. That's not saying we don't want to see men. We absolutely welcome men, and Penny Bron, although the name sounds perhaps like it's a woman's name, that's because it was set up by this remarkable woman, Penny Bron. We welcome anyone from any background, any gender, anyone who's affected by cancer. That is who we are there to serve. And it's an incredible service. People don't know about it in the local area. It is free for a whole range of services. You get one-to-one appointments with an integrative doctor. You get a nutritional therapist if you want to talk about that. You get lifestyle advice, physical activity. There are groups to join. Look at the website. If you haven't heard of it, and if you know anyone affected by cancer, please have a look at the Penny Bron website to see how we can help.
Dr. Duncan Still, very interesting to talk to you, and yes, you certainly gave some good advice, particularly with Penny Bron there. I wish you well, and thank you for joining us here on Radio Bath.
A real pleasure.
This is Radio Bath.
Ticking out of the clock, I'm lying here, the room's pitch dark. I wonder where you are tonight, no answer on the telephone. And the night goes by so very slow. Oh, I hope that it won't end though. Alone tell you tonight, but the secret is still my own, and my love for you is still unknown, alone.
Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie. You were gonna smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day, you see what you like. And how does it feel? One more time, you had a bad day.
Daniel Pointer there, Bad Day. Well, it's been a good day so far for us here at Radio Bath because both my guests have turned up. Get all a little bit lost, but I don't blame them at all, actually, because we're snuck away along the Lower Bristol Road, but they've made it, which is great. Let me introduce you to them. We have John Hill. John was treated for prostate cancer, but still has regular checkups, and he now looks fit and healthy, and I've known him for a little while as well. And also Leigh Forster. Leigh is a fireman. He's 49 years old, looks fit as a flea. But he had a melanoma, and all sorts of things happened after that. The melanoma is a sort of rare form of cancer. First, if I can start with you, John. How did you discover that you had cancer?
Well, I was up in the Lake District. It must have been about 6 years ago, and I was doing some just winter camping. And after a day's walk on the Langdale Pikes, beautiful, I went to use the shower in the bathroom, and I passed blood, and I was just shocked, and I thought, goodness me, what has gone on here? And had my shower, and I did eat something, but I was quite disturbed because I was by myself. It was just I go up most years just for a week by myself, and in the morning I didn't pass blood. I was cured. So I didn't mention it for some time. My wife's a nurse, and I thought, well, that's fixed. I don't need to mention anything. So it was many months later. There's a little story behind that. I said, "Oh yeah. Well, I passed blood." And she went, "What?" And my daughter's a nurse as well. And well, what have you done about it? I said, "Well, nothing. It's fixed. It hasn't happened again." And that started the process of having a checkup.
So you didn't have a checkup straight away. You obviously waited, thinking it had cured itself.
Yes, yeah, because whatever it was, and I guess I was not a bit embarrassed in a way because it hadn't happened before, and I thought, well, who do you mention it to? I was a bit repulsed. Shock was the main thing. And I happened to mention it to someone who was a doctor, and they said, "Oh well, it's not unknown. When the Romans trod the land throughout Britain, with a lot of walking, consistent walking, can produce that at times." So I just relaxed then. I thought, that's what it was.
That's what it was, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was diagnosed as a prostate cancer.
Yes.
Do you think, very briefly, that embarrassment does stop a lot of men coming forward, hoping that it would just go away? Yeah,
I think it does, because it was almost, I don't want to mention it to my wife, it's what sort of perversion are you up to now, John? Or something. Not that I am, just want to hasten to add.
Leigh's laughing, by the way.
Yeah, it's okay, laugh at me, Leigh. So, yeah, I guess that's what stopped me talking about it, was the possibilities that this could actually happen, because I'd never heard of that happening before, passing blood, really. I've just been bimbling on through life. I was 63 then. So, yeah, I didn't talk about it.
Right, we're going to come back to you a little bit later, John. I've talked to Leigh Forster now. Leigh, how did it all start with you? I mean, did you recognise it as being possible cancer, or did you just wait and see what the diagnosis said?
Well, it started off as a mole on my lower back, and it started itching, and I just thought it was because it was near my trouser line. It was just an irritating mole that had been there since I was born. But my wife, in fact, pointed it out to me that it scabbed over, it was bleeding, it's turned colour. So all those irregularities started, the alarm bells ringing then. So that's when I got it checked out, went to my GP, and within 2 weeks I was referred to the dermatology department at the RUH, and the mole was cut out, and on inspection it was diagnosed as melanoma. So that's when the next surgery come, and then they found that it spread to my lymph nodes in the groin, and then a groin dissection followed, and then further spread to my lymph nodes in the chest, followed immunotherapy and so on. So
Yes, you've had a real bucket full, haven't you? I mean, so you didn't delay. You as soon as your wife saw that, you immediately went for a diagnosis, did you?
Yeah. She was concerned. Like John, my wife's a nurse, so she was concerned more than me. Again, I could have said, "Oh, it's okay. It's just itchy. It's because it's my belt line." But no, she said, "Get it checked." And I did, and
it was
I'm
the
glad I did.
best thing you did.
Definitely.
Listen, the both of you, I'm just going to put you on hold for a little while, because what I'm going to do is go to, first of all, some music, and then we'll hear from Kate Morton, who's the CEO of Mind, and that's the mental health charity. And she's got a little bit to say, of course, on men.
Across Bath, Salisbury and Wilton, this is Radio Bath.
You walk on in, and my heart catches fire. My head explodes with visions of desire. You touch my heart, oh you tear me apart. I can't even think. You touch me, and I get so excited. I get so excited. I get so excited in your arms. Within our love, there is no compromise. Boy, can't you see seduction in my eyes? So climb right on in, you know, love's not a sin. You can kiss all of me, 'cause you're my ecstasy, and I get so excited. I get so excited. I get so
Heather Small can do it. She used to be, of course, with the M People. Probably still a guest with them now. Great voice, great voice. Now, it's a special program today. I'm looking at men's health. The reason being, well, it's a good subject. We need to get men to come forward and not be reluctant to keep themselves to themselves and find they've got a late diagnosis. And, of course, mental health is a problem for men as well. And on the line, I've got Kate Morton. She's Chief Executive Officer of Bath Mind. And, Kate, do you find fewer men come to you with mental health problems?
Yes, we do, but not as many as we would like. We know that men's mental health is increasing in number and in acuity and severity. And in recent years with COVID, with winter pressures coming up, financial issues, physical ill health, relationship breakdowns, job uncertainty, and that feeling of being isolated, men's anxiety and low mood is definitely increasing in recent years, but we're still not seeing men coming through to our services. There's still that barrier, that feeling of shame. It's those societal stigmas that still exist, sadly, even in 2022.
So what about the problems? I mean, do men come with different sorts of problems? I mean, are they worried at this crisis time of energy price rises? Are they worried about money?
Yeah, absolutely, Bob. They're worried about money, about job uncertainty, as I say. I think people with the cost of living crisis, people are really, really concerned about what will be on the horizon for them. And there's still that expectation for men, I think, that they need to be in control, that they need to manage the problems themselves. They don't necessarily share in the way that women do. I think they have a very different relationship with their friends and with their colleagues. Obviously, I'm generalising, but on the whole, that's what we see in our service. And I think that there's physical health issues that people are worried about, where we've got some hospital waiting lists on the increase. So it's kind of a combination of all those factors that are creating a little bit of a perfect storm at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all sorts of things are happening in our lives.
Yeah.
How do you think you can reach more men that need help?
So the work that we do, and many other organisations, is very much about activity-based work. We need to build that trust and confidence in people so they feel that they can talk, there's a safe space, they're not going to be judged. We need to challenge stigma and ensure that in our activity-based programmes, sport, mechanics, men's shed projects, lots of the different support groups and activities, so that men can feel they do have that freedom to share. And they're not going to talk in the traditional way, the way women do often. As I say, they're still very much feeling they need to be in control, and they are more isolated. And I think we therefore must work with people as early as possible, because the danger is that if it gets left, if they think they can manage the issues themselves, then it's not quite too late, but it certainly becomes a bigger problem. And often we find men turn to drink and drugs more, and they do shut themselves away. I think there's a lot we can do as well as individuals and family members, colleagues, friends. We need to spot the signs and symptoms. So, we need to keep an eye on our friends and family members, don't we? Changes in voice and behaviour. Is there physical changes? Do they start becoming reluctant to go out? Are they shutting down more? We need to reach out. The most important thing is to start a conversation and for people to be able to talk to each other. And that then starts the process of being able to get help.
Kate, we're running out of time, so a one-sentence, two-sentence answer. Men's knowledge of health matters is often poor, isn't it?
It is. It's very poor, yeah. And we need to improve that with training and awareness raising.
Brilliant. Kate, sorry to cut you short, but time is tight, as they say. And thank you very much for talking to us. It was a real eye-opener listening to you. And good luck. Thank you very much indeed.
A warm welcome awaits you at the newly refurbished Old Crown at the heart of Weston Village in Bath. Now serving authentic, delicious, rustic, traditional stone-baked pizzas, bruschettas, bagels, sharing platters and much more. Plus craft keg and cast beers, heaps of gins and a top quality wine range. Come and join us for an alfresco lunch, cosy dinners or Sunday roast. spacious garden with outside heating, perfect for every occasion. The Old Crown Weston. Find out more at theoldcrownweston.pub or book on 01225 481 858.
Chicken Express on Moorland Road, Bath are now serving sumptuous, crispy coated chicken pieces, chicken burgers, wraps, peri-peri chicken fillet burger, chicken wings, nuggets, and much more. We've even healthy options like steamed grilled chicken and a range of tasty sides. Open 11 a.m. with collections until 10 p.m. and deliveries until 10:45 p.m. And it's free delivery within a 3-mile radius for phone orders over $12.99. See you at Chicken Express on Moorland Road. Call 727 300.
Say hello to Cook. One of the country's leading ethical businesses has arrived in Bath with our award-winning frozen meals and puddings. Cook's food is made like you would make at home in carbon-neutral kitchens, then frozen to cut down waste and lock in flavour. There's something for everyone, from healthy meals in minutes to lasagnas and pies perfect for the family, or a beef Wellington and indulgent pudding for a treat. Drop by to meet Tanya and the team at Cook's new shop, 12 to 19 Wells Way in Bear Flat, or order a home delivery from cookfood.net. Relax and let us cook.
Simple Recruitment are specialists in the provision of temporary and permanent recruitment solutions across industrial and commercial sectors at all levels throughout Bath, Bristol, Somerset and Wiltshire. Our team of expert consultants are reliable, friendly and professional when working with people who are looking for a new permanent career move or a more flexible immediate work solution. Our invaluable expert industry insights will open the doors to a raft of employment opportunities to suit all personalities and experiences. It's simple. We find jobs for people and people for jobs. Call us today on 01761 235 741 or visit our website simplerecruitmentltd.co.uk.
Radio Bath. on your smart speaker, and on DAB Digital Radio, a voice for Bath. This is Radio Bath News.
A 16-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of the murder of a 15-year-old who was stabbed outside his school gates. West Yorkshire Police say he was arrested in an address in Huddersfield this morning. Fellow pupils at North Huddersfield Trust School have been reacting to the news.
Yeah, I've seen him about, and he just looked like a nice kid, and I don't know why anyone would want to do that to anyone.
It's been confirmed that Transport for London boss Andy Byford will leave the organisation at the end of October. TfL's Chief Operating Officer Andy Lord will take on the role of Commissioner on an interim basis. The two main priorities Mr Byford set out at the start of his period in charge, opening the Elizabeth line without more delays and leading TfL out of the financial crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic, have been achieved, according to the transport body. Health and Social Care Secretary Therese Coffey has been setting out her plans to tackle pressures in the NHS. She's been explaining how her plans will seek to improve staff retention and encourage recruitment within the National Health Service.
Well, I think one of the things that we'll be doing is removing some of the reasons that doctors have told us why they have stopped working, and indeed extending some of the measures that we had during COVID in order to bring people back into the NHS to help with this national endeavour.
A Labour MP has accused the party of not looking after her health and well-being after being off work since the middle of June. Apsana Begum, the Labour MP for Poplar and Limehouse in London, took time away from work because of what she called misogynistic abuse and harassment. She says she's beginning a phased return to work, but accused her party of failing in its duty of care to her. And supermarket chain Lidl has announced plans to increase hourly pay rates for all its store and warehouse workers next week. From the 1st of October, Lidl will increase entry-level rates from £10.10 to £10.90 an hour outside London and from £11.30 to £11.95 within the M25. From Radio News Hub, I'm Andy Hoyle.
Radio Works. The cost of living crisis is forcing the nation's small and medium-sized business owners to stall plans to go green. That's according to NatWest and the Federation of Small Businesses. NatWest's Andrew Harrison has more.
Over half of the UK's SMEs say that investing in green energy is a priority. However, this investment is being put at risk by rising electricity and gas prices. That's why we're joining forces with the Federation of Small Business to raise awareness of this issue. Find out more at natwest.com/climate.
This is Radio Bath.
Sexy, everything about you so sexy. You don't even know what you got. You're really hitting my spot. Oh yeah, and you're so innocent. Please don't take this wrong, 'cause it's a compliment. I just wanna get with your flow. You gotta learn to let go.
That's Liberty X. Just a little. I think it was just a little bit more, actually. Right, we're returning to our subject of men's health, and I'm now still got in the studio, because they haven't run away just yet, but still got in the studio, two guests, two men whose lives have been affected by cancer, and that's John Hill and Leigh Forster. John, let me just briefly, for people who haven't been listening a little bit earlier on, just briefly tell me what happened to you, and did you wait before you went to the doctor?
Oh, yes. So what I was saying before was that... when I was up in the Lake District and gone for a long walk in the evening, I was going to use the shower and then use the toilet, and I passed blood.
Yeah.
And it was that feeling of just shock. Felt a bit dirty, actually, and so I just kept quiet about it, because in the morning it didn't happen again. And I'd used the expression, I thought everything was fixed. That's that sorted. That won't happen again. And it was months later when I mentioned it in a conversation with my wife, who's a nurse, and she was a tad agitated that I hadn't done anything about it, really. So it was then I went to the GP. It was probably about 4 or 5 months after.
That's quite a long time to wait.
Yeah, it is. Of hindsight, it's a brilliant gift, isn't it? But as it didn't reoccur, I just more or less forgot about it. Really. But the day I went into with the GP appointment, it was a young doctor who was on placement. I'm not quite sure what the word is, but she hadn't quite...
Locum. Is it locum?
Locum. And she was very thorough in the examination, and was there and really encouraged the process. Right, let's get this referral to the RUH in Bath, and that's what started the whole process on being diagnosed with cancer. Do you think men in particular with prostate problems and problems down there, as it were, to use that expression, do you think they're too embarrassed to go sometimes? I mean, you faced a woman doctor there. Was that embarrassing? No, it wasn't embarrassing. It really, because I didn't really know much about what the prostate does. I knew it was in the groin area somewhere, but quite what it gets up to, I could never guess, really. But it's when you have to bend over for an examination, I think that's when the shock really starts. Yes, I know, yes. And so, no, I wasn't embarrassed then, really. It was more opening up that there could be a problem. Was more difficult for me. Yeah. Well, let's move to the man sitting next to you, and that's Leigh Forster. Leigh, you didn't wait, actually, because you had what turned out to be cancer, was a melanoma. So you went quite quickly after your wife advised you to do that.
Yeah, within a week of noticing my mole changing, I went to my GP and was then referred quite quickly to the dermatology department at the RUH. And again, it was a female doctor, and they recommended that I had it removed, and it was removed within a couple of weeks. And then when the report came back, it was malignant melanoma.
So you acted quickly. Obviously John waited a little while, but I mean, does that drive you on, that if you find anything wrong with your body, you're going to get it seen to? Most definitely. If there's any changes, whether it be a mole or bowel habits or a feeling, anything like that, it's best to get it checked out as soon as possible. I can't, I'm living proof of that. If you leave it too long, you don't know what the consequences could be. So get it checked out as soon as you notice any change. But men are, reluctant to come forward. I mean, as the doctor we spoke to earlier said, it dates back to men feeling empowered and not wanting to show any form of weakness. But what do you think the medical profession should do, or particularly what should the message be? Should it be hammered home? The message: get it checked. Definitely get it checked. I mean, there is that machismo that with all men have. They want to be the sort of with their. You can't penetrate my sort of barriers, so I think it's somehow you've got to be able to be the bigger man in a way, and be able to talk about it, be able to get something done, because without it, being ignorant is proven, it's not going to have very good consequences. No, long term. John, how would you get the message home? Yeah, I think it is about. I agree with Leigh. It is about getting things checked, because what's the worst that could happen if it is checked?
And even when I was sort of diagnosed, I chose to go on watchful waiting, as they called. So, but my GP said if I were you, I'd just get it whipped out. And I remember thinking in my head, it was all right for you to say that, sitting there behind your desk in your white shirt and tie.
This is your black humour, isn't it?
It is. So I went on to watchful waiting, and then there was the hospital that said, look, a consultant there, I said, this isn't working, John. The PSA is going up. So I delayed it further because I enjoyed my activities, backpacking, cycling and walking and all that, and I didn't want to compromise that. But it could have been totally compromised if I had left it another 6 months. You know, so I think, like the lovely Bill Turnbull, once diagnosed, giving it a profile, saying, get it checked.
Do you think that's important? We need high-profile people to say that. I mean, God forbid it's high-profile because they're going to die, but I mean, should more celebrities take part in this?
I think it would be helpful because if you look at breast cancer, for example, with women, the amount of coverage that gets and the amount of money that gets raised for breast cancer and the profile that has, then we need to do something similar for prostate cancer, for bowel cancer, for these cancers as well, to raise their profile.
Okay, let's take a little bit of a break, and I'll talk to you about that black humour, John. Yeah, take a bit of a break, and we'll listen to some more music.
This is Radio Bath.
Yeah, Billy Joel there, Uptown Girl. As soon as you hear the start of that, you know what it is, isn't it? It's pretty good. Now, we're back here in this special program looking at men's health and perhaps the reluctance of men to step forward and talk about their problems, their bodily problems. But I've got in the studio John Hill and Leigh Forster, and both men here have been affected by cancer. We've talked a good deal of the way through it, even had some laughs. I'm looking at John now. Okay, first of all, John, both of you are part of the sort of We Get It community here in Bath. How did that come about? What's it done for you?
Right. Before I start that,
hang on, John. I'm just going to fade you up, mate. You can start again. What's that done for you?
Yeah, before I answer that, Bob, it's not from very early age. People have always looked at me and just laughed, so I'm used to that. So what was the question again?
What was the question? You see, you're going off course here, John. Just say you're part of the We Get It community. How did that come about, and what's it been doing for you over the years?
Yeah, well, it came about the evening of the launch. I had a phone call from a friend who, from St John's Hospital Trust, saying, would I partake in an evening of a launch of a charity called We Get It, and I asked a bit about it. So I went along, because one of the reasons I went along, they had a shortage of men participating, and when I got there, I then realised I was going to be on the platform, and people would ask me questions, and Deborah James was there. Yes, I met a wonderful woman. And there's a woman that raised profile. And so that's how I was introduced. So the idea of having a charity where people could get together and talk and get instruction and just be a community was not something I'd ever considered. But on that evening, I met Laura Phillips, who helped launch it. If she didn't launch it totally herself, I think she certainly was one of the main players. Yeah. And it's just a wonderful personality, and it was then I started to become connected to We Get It together. And we meet on Fridays for coffee. It's just one of the events, but the amount that they put on, and there are people, there are nutritionists that can give just really good sounded advice. So for me, it's been a real benefit, and just makes it much easier to converse with what I've been through. I'm not unique, and there's many people, and it's the lack of stigma or judgment. And you think, well, why should people carry a stigma? But I did for a while.
But you did.
I was the only person I knew that had prostate cancer, although it's quite common. I didn't know anybody else.
So that's one benefit. I mean, anything else? But you obviously met a lot of people, and do you see more men coming into that group?
They're beginning to, beginning to, which is really good to see. And I think, that it is a trauma. It's a slow trauma for some, but getting used to talking is very, very beneficial. And in the conversations, you can mention something and somebody else can share their story or their experience with, say, certain foods or certain treatments. And it just opens up a spectrum of possibilities and things that you could try if you need to. And I really like that. Plus, it's the slow burn of friendship. You begin to become friends, or certainly friendly with people, and then that develops into friendships. I really enjoy it. It's a good place to be.
Sounds like it. Sounds pretty good. Leigh, what do you think of We Get It? I mean, you've got sort of had ongoing problems, but now you're being checked, I think. But what have you got out of it, apart from meeting people? Is there a sort of restoring self-esteem or something like that?
Well, I joined when they were just doing Zoom calls in lockdown. That was my introduction to We Get It. And beyond lockdown, with the meetings that John mentioned and other events that We Get It have organised, is just been really, really helpful, and meeting those people. They signpost you to other services. It doesn't matter what stage of cancer, what type of cancer, pre or post treatment, whatever stage you're at, you have got something in common, and they get it as well. And that's why it's good to have the conversation with those people. They understand what you're going through, and there's no stigma attached, like John said. You're able to talk completely freely about your diagnosis. Again, what works for you, what works for other people. You can take notes, you can exchange books, all these different ideas that you can pass through each other. And you build rapport with people, friendships with people, and you almost don't want to miss the next one, because you don't know, you might miss some snippet of information that could be really useful to you. Yeah. So I get all of that, and with the project that culminated last year, the Scars for Life, that was really empowering, and everyone really embraced that project, and it was fantastic, and it's gaining a bit of momentum. It's we had the exhibition at the St John's House, and it's really, like I say, it was really empowering. A very emotional night, and very emotional to do, but very empowering, and getting that message out there. And the people that have talked to me since doing that have all come out and said, how brilliant it was, and that it should get more men to come forward, or not just men, but anyone, to be able to talk freely about their diagnosis.
Let me just explain to the listeners. The Scars for Life was put on by We Get It. It actually was a project where photographs were taken of various members of the community. They were exposing the scars, and it was very. I went along. It was a huge impact. I just wish we could keep it going. But turning to black humour again. Leigh, you told a fantastic story about modelling for the photographs, something to do with a window.
Oh, yes. I remember the day of the photo shoot. The photographer made me feel at ease. There was also a photographer there taking pictures for We Get It. So I had a groin dissection, so my scar runs from just below my belly button to my lower thigh on my left leg, and so I had to strip naked, with my hand covering my modesty. And as the photographer was crouching down to take the picture of my scar, an open-top bus went past the window in Queen Square, and about 15 Japanese tourists were taking pictures of me through the window. So that was that was an experience.
You can't escape a tourist, that's for sure. Well, on that note, I think we'll have a little bit more music. We're going to talk again after that. Thank you.
Made locally in Bath. This is Radio Bath.
Need that special gift for a loved one? Birthday, anniversary, special occasion, or just a treat for yourself? Bath Aqua Glass Shop at the Abbey Churchyard is open Monday to Sunday, and have the perfect handcrafted unique gifts for every occasion. Designed and crafted in the heart of Bath. Plus, activity bookings are also available for an extra special gift. For details of offers and our glass-blowing workshops, call Bath 428 146 or visit bathaquaglass.com. Supporting independent shops. Bath Aqua Glass. Made with love, given with love, sent with love. A warm welcome awaits you at the newly refurbished Old Crown at the heart of Weston Village in Bath. Now serving authentic, delicious, rustic, traditional stone-baked pizzas, bruschettas, bagels, sharing platters, and much more. Plus craft keg and cask beers, heaps of gins, and a top quality wine range. Come and join us for an alfresco lunch, cosy dinners, or Sunday roast. Spacious garden with outside heating, perfect for every occasion. The Old Crown Weston. Find out more at theoldcrownweston.pub or book on 01225 481 858.
Banduke Kitchen, 3 to 7 Milsom Place, Bath. Indian street food now in the heart of Bath. Our talented chefs are at hand to effortlessly prepare delicious traditional street foods with an innovative flair, from Bombay to Bath. Banduke Kitchen are serving a large selection of unique, flavoursome street food, from chai brunches, luminous lunches, cosy evening dinners, and fabulous cocktails. Come and eat Indian street food with us. Banduke Kitchen. See the menu and reserve your table online at bandukekitchen.com or call 01225 300 600.
This is Radio Bath.
mics up. Yeah, Snow Patrol. Sitting opposite me, two fans of Snow Patrol. I'm sure they know the words, actually. In 2004, that track was out, so it's quite some time ago. John Hill, Leigh Forster here, talking about men reluctant to divulge their health problems because they're embarrassed or something like that. We've gone on to the cancer community group, which is called We Get It, and both men are part of that as well, and we've talked about what it does for them. But one thing I must bring up, John, is that it's not just people who suffer from cancer, it's all the people around them as well.
Yes, it is, and that's a really good point, Bob, because in the industry I used to work in before, which I help people through drug and alcohol issues, and for every person that has an issue, it affects 4 to 5 people around them, and I think it's the same, although I haven't looked at research around that, but if you consider... generally speaking, if somebody has an issue, then it affects 4 to 5 people that are close to you. They may not have the diagnosis, but sometimes when you look on at a loved one, it is a place of pain. You wish you could fix everything, you wish you could take it back a bit, and they didn't suffer that. And of course we can't. We're just there alongside. And I can remember at one point, my wife, amazing woman and very, very supportive, but at one point after the diagnosis, just seeing her weep was difficult. You know, that this may change things. This may limit things. First thing being time. And so that's tough to bear. And I remember when I was doing my training years ago, the lecturer was saying that most people don't need counselling, they just need a damn good listening to. And I thought that was a brilliant statement, and I think that's another thing that we can offer, and We Get It, is just to sit alongside and listen.
Listen to it.
We don't have all the answers.
No.
We can listen.
No one does. Leigh, do you agree with that? Is that the same for you?
Oh, definitely. Like I say, there are other people affected. Some of them come along to the meetings, and there are other events that We Get It that organise to involve family members as well. And it's good, like us, to know that we're not the only ones, with a cancer diagnosis. They're not the only ones going through what other partners and loved ones are going through with the diagnosis. So it's good for them to have that connection with people as well. So they get it as well as we get it. So it's good to have that for them as well. So it works for them as well. It's brilliant.
I would presume it can be a great shock for families. I mean, do either of you have cancer running in your families in the past? Or?
No, my mother died in her 80s with, and not because of, if you know, she had lymph nodes removed in her breast, and so, but she died of other things in her mid 80s. But other than that, there's no history. Of it.
So it's a big shock that you should be affected.
Yes. Yeah. My father, who's now 94, and he was really shocked. So.
Same with you. I mean,
my wife's mother died of secondary breast cancer several years ago, and I had an uncle died more than 20 years ago of cancer. So that's my closest sort of I've been to family with.
But did you ever think you'd contract cancer? Did you ever think? I mean, how much of a shock was it for you?
Oh, it was a massive shock. It was a massive shock. I'm a fireman. I do an active job. I'm active. I exercise a lot. I thought I ate well, so it was a big shock to me for that to happen. But still a wake up call. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. Listen, we've been talking a lot, but do you two talk to other men about the need to have checkups? When you meet someone, a chap, do you talk to them about, having to be careful with their health and make sure that it's checked?
I have to confess, I don't, Bob, unless it comes up in a conversation naturally, or several months ago, I noticed I was with a mate, and they were going to the loo really regularly. And we'd gone for a pint and a walk, and he was just going to the loo every 20 minutes, you know. So I did mention it then, but he just sort of shrugged his shoulders, and I don't know if he ever did get checked, you know. So he can say, you know, that could be because of issues of prostate. And,
Leigh, you mentioned you're a fireman. I mean, you work very closely with a bunch of guys and women, of course. You know, do you talk about it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been quite open with my diagnosis from the start because I've had to be. But I often now get people might ask me questions, whether it's friends or work colleagues, because it's predominantly male workforce that I work with. But yeah, they would ask me questions or say, should I get this checked? And they'll come and talk to me or show me. So it's good if I can offer them advice and pass on that knowledge as well, and encourage them to get things checked if I feel that that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
They might just need that. If you tell me I've got to get it done, I'll get it done. They need that second opinion or someone with some experience to say, go ahead, get it done.
This is a very, how would I describe it, a very difficult question, but what you've been through and you've come out the other end, has it made you a better person, John?
I think it really genuinely has made me appreciate time and people more. I've always loved people, you know, and I do enjoy company, but I think the value of just sitting alongside for a season, for an hour, for 5 minutes, and what we can impart to me is important. You know, just you know, I myself live in hope. You know, I got to survive, and I've had extra years because of the surgery, and I value that greatly with family and friends.
How about you?
Yeah, it's definitely made me reevaluate a lot of things in my life, not only the diet, the exercise, nutrition, supplements, all those things, but time with my family, time with my friends, time for myself. And that's what I find the hardest of all, is time for myself, and sometimes being selfish, because you've got to look after yourself first and foremost. Otherwise you won't be any good to anybody else. So that's the hardest thing that I've had to learn, is to do more things for myself and maybe be selfish.
Very good point.
That's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you very much for coming in, despite the fact that you've both lost your ways. No, very, very
Be
good.
the first time.
Thank you again. I hope that anyone listening, if you're a girlfriend, a wife, or you've got a brother, a father, a cousin, anything like that, a boyfriend, well, please encourage them to check it up if there's anything they feel is going wrong with their body. It's so easy. And, we could very well have the doctors seeing us in 2 weeks' time, so I hear, if the government is to be believed. And, so things should improve. Both of you, thanks very much indeed, and safe journey home, and make sure that you find your way home.
This is Radio Bath.